Frank Pope here at the Corvette plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. I'm just going over to visit Bob Parcell, the new plant manager. I'm going to ask him a few questions that everybody wants to know.
Frank, how are you?
Fine, thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet.
Appreciate it. Okay, I got a few questions for you.
Certainly.
A lot of people are just interested. Before coming to the Corvette plant, what position did you have with General Motors?
Well, just before getting here, and that was November of 2009, I actually ran the Cami Automotive manufacturing plant up in Ingersoll, Canada. Make the Equinox, the new Terrain, and the Suzuki XL7. So spent about 4 years there. Prior to that, I was in Wentzville, Missouri, as the plant manager of the big van plant in Wentzville. Spent about 2 years there. And prior to that, spent 2 years as plant manager in the Cleveland, the Parma stamping plant in Cleveland, Ohio. Spent a couple of years doing that. Prior to that, I was in Troy headquarters, and prior to that, I was in Mansfield, Ohio. Prior to that, I was in Grand Rapids. Prior to that, I was in Flint. So,
how many years altogether?
I'm going on my 31st year, and the last 8, 10 have been in assembly, building different vehicles.
Well, before coming through, how long have you been a Corvette enthusiast?
Well, to be honest, I think I couldn't classify myself as an enthusiast prior, but once I got here, I became one. So technically, probably since November, I've always loved the car, but I've never owned one and never been into the racing scene with the Corvette racing team or anything like that. But certainly, I'm picking it up now, and boy, it's hard not to love these cars.
Okay. Well, what are you driving these days?
I'm driving a Grand Sport convertible. Loving every minute of it.
Is it a 6-speed?
Yeah, 6-speed. In fact, my wife and I took a fairly long drive the other day. We went up to Michigan, and she came back and said she couldn't believe she was in a Corvette, just because of the old Corvettes and the rough ride of them.
It's amazing.
She just loved it. Just loved it.
Okay. Well, what could you tell us about the 2011 Corvette?
Well, there's some differences for 2011. You know, not a lot of big ticket kind of items, but certainly the Z07, the fiber Z06 combination. That's probably the highlight of it. Got a couple new colors, and then just some minor modifications.
Interior changes a little bit.
Very few tweaks on the interior.
Most engines are going to be the same.
Yeah, in fact, all engines will be the same. Yeah.
Well, I was reading recently that you were going to go to a new tire for the ZR1. Goodyear is making a special tire just for the ZR1.
That's correct.
Would you find the testing was much superior to the Michelin that they're using 210?
I wouldn't say much superior, but definitely a better tire. You know, the performance when you're at that kind of level, just any little bit of performance enhancement really makes a big difference, and that's what the engineering and the testing found out with the Goodyear tire.
And it's made right here in America.
That's another bonus for sure.
Just
yeah,
like the
sure.
Corvette. Love it. Okay, so what could you tell us about the C7? I'm not going to ask you when it's coming out, but I'm curious what it's going to look like.
Frank, I wish I could tell you, but if I told you, we'd have to kill you.
Oh, well, don't do that. My grandson would miss me. My grandsons. But,
no, really, we really can't talk about the plans, the future plans for the what might be the next generation Corvette.
But it'd be exciting.
As we know, as we get to a point where we can talk about it, we will certainly be talking about it.
And will you give me a call so I'm one of the first to know?
I would be happy to do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, you know, in the state of the economy's in right now, how have the numbers been?
Well, they're actually picking up. You know, we are now on a max overtime schedule, so we're working 5 10-hour days and 6 Saturdays sprinkled in throughout the model year. Sales are picking up. I think consumer confidence is picking up a little bit. I think as you see the amount of traffic in showrooms, that's picking up. Of course, you know, we're kind of on the tail end of that because it's a purely disposable income car. I mean, it's just, it's for fun.
It's
You know,
for fun.
it's not all that functional, but so we're starting to see some pickup, and we're pretty excited about the schedules that we see in the near future.
Do we export a lot of Corvettes?
We do some export to the Middle East. We started here exporting to Europe a few months ago, and we've actually added Japan as one of our export countries.
Another question comes to mind with the new rulings that come from Washington, the CAFE standards. How are we going to skirt around that with the Corvette?
Well, you know, the engineering team's always up front on a lot of these kind of decisions. They're already planning for the next wave of regulations, if you will. So we're pretty confident that we're going to stay ahead of the curve and not fall back into that gas guzzler category and have the increased tax on the vehicle.
So we won't be looking at a 4-cylinder with twin turbo soon?
No,
Okay.
not anytime soon.
Okay, is there anything else you could tell us since you've been here, you know, what it's like for you?
Well, you know, it's an opportunity to build a car of your dreams. It really is. And coming in here every day and looking at the men and women on the line and the people that are working out in the factory, you know, they just love coming to work and building this car, and they take great pride in making sure that it's the best car they can possibly build. And as it rolls off that line, you know, there's just smile upon smile watching it go. It's pretty exciting stuff.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure.
And I look forward to hearing from you when they change that body
You
style.
bet. We'll make you first on the list.
Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Bob Parcell, and you're watching Vetster.com.